The mines are situated in bleak desert, rendered all the more doleful by the unhealthy appearance of its inhabitants. At every step one stumbles upon ladders that lead into utter darkness, or funnels that exhale warm copperous vapors. A great demand was created for laborers. The population of the district suddenly and largely increased. All about us, monstrous wheels were turning slowly. Machinery was clanking and groaning in the hoarses' discords. Invisible waters were pouring onward with a rushing sound. High above our heads, on skeleton platforms, iron chains clattered fast and fiercely on iron pulleys, and huge steam pumps puffed and gasped and slowly raised their heavy black beams of wood. Far beneath the embankment on which we stood, men, women, and children were breaking and washing ore in a perfect marsh of copper-coloured mud and copper-coloured water. The markets were thronged, the roads were worn into dangerous ruts, the dialect of the people grew more provincial, and the singing tone of the West was imported with full effect. School days did not mean very much for a number of the boys and girls who would start to work at the dressing floors of the mines at the age of 8 and 9 years for 5 and 6 pence a day. There were no child labour laws at that time.
I well remember my first starting work underground. I was all dressed up with a new white duck suit, as that was the kind of overalls worn in those times, and with my new skull cap that my mother had made, and a hard hat like the miners wore with a candle and clay that could be stuck to the hat when climbing ladders. The ventilation was quite a problem, being good in some places and very bad in others. In the main levels, or near where the air could circulate freely, it was very good. But where the working place was some distance away from the main levels, it was very poor. In many places, it was so poor that oftentimes the regular miners' candles wouldn't burn for the lack of oxygen.
There are a number of things that go to make up the life of a miner. The hours he labours underground, banished from the sunlight, are not always as dismal and dark as some people would imagine. They would have a smoke from their old clay pipes together and spin a few yarns about what was happening in the different neighbourhoods, such things as wrestling, horse racing, hunting, fishing, etc. Sometimes there would be heated arguments as to who had the best pigs, chickens, vegetables and flowers. The miners, as a class of men, were very religious, with a number of lay preachers among them who took great pride in preaching on Sunday. They would walk several miles to preach the gospel for no other compensation than the assurance that they were doing the Lord's work. The miners' gardens were beautifully kept, and great pride was taken with a number of them as to who had the best garden in the village. The time soon came when many of the fathers who had moved to other countries sent for their families to join them, so that what had been thriving villages were now being deserted and very lonesome. The parting time came, and it was a time of sorrows and tears, lumps gathered in the throats that made it hard to talk very much at that time.